You're watching NTC News, DeKalb County's only television news source, on the campus of Northern Illinois University and from the Northern Television Center. This is NTC News Tonight.
There, so I would be just with my parents supporting them. So it's not I don't feel like it's a big difference for me being here, being there.
The unrest in Ukraine hits home for this NIU student. Good evening, I'm Caprice. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Emilee Fannon. With tensions rising between Russia and the United States over the involvement in Ukraine, Brett Tudela gives us a look inside the life of one Ukrainian NIU student.
A country divided between two different forms of government. For one NIU student, the turmoil over 5,000 miles away hits home all too well.
Well, the hardest part was when the war started, when 60 people were killed in basically in a couple of hours.
Max is keeping up to date with all of the news on his computer to do all he can to make sure he knows what is going on in his home country of Ukraine. Whether it's his flags or cards from his friends and family back home, he tries to stay positive during this difficult time.
And our city, thankfully, was probably one of the quietest. Nothing really happened there, so I would be just with my parents supporting them. So it's not I don't feel like it's a big difference for me being here, being there.
It all started when President Viktor Yanukovych rejected an accord with the European Union. Arguments raged in the country as gunmen overtook government buildings and Russian military has begun to become involved.
Overall, the government was somewhat pro-Russian. That's why they didn't sign the European Union agreement in the first place.
For most NIU students, they get to drive home to see their family and loved ones. But for Max, his only way home is a computer screen, if he's lucky. Other than that, it's just a cell phone.
Skype is his go-to form of communication with his parents, but on some days, he can only have telephone conversations.
I've been talking to my parents every day pretty much, and they say something, I read something. The main topic that everyone was talking at that point was just to stop it. Stop killing.
Right now, Max isn't sure when he'll get to go see his parents again, but he continues to stay in touch and stay positive. Reporting from DeKalb, Brett Tudela, NTC News.
A difficult situation for any student, and the situation for incoming students is about to become more difficult. Starting next year, new students will be paying more for classes. The NIU Board of Trustees has approved a 2% raise in tuition for incoming students. A 15-credit-hour course load could cost about $90 more a semester. On the other hand, students in dorms such as Newhall could save nearly $200 per semester as housing costs will be cut almost 3%. Currently enrolled students will not be affected.
Costs may be rising for NIU, but Hiawatha Elementary School is coming down. The school, built in the 30s, will be gone before the week's end. Noise from the demolition can be heard all over the community. The contractor has been asked to set aside 500 bricks to be sold as a commemorative item.
One school destroyed while the story continues for Cortland Elementary School. Waste Management is going to pay more than $70,000 for bills related to the landfill incident. Waste Management will pay medical and ambulance charges for the services rendered by Kish Health System to students and staff. Waste Management also agreed to pay as much as $10,000 for experiences incurred by the school district.
One of the great comeback stories is the American bald eagle's return to Starved Rock area. And with its sub-zero winter, and even it's more amazing that these birds are sticking around.
Erica Burgess is here to explain what makes this type of bird watching so special.
You see any flying?
Bald eagles have been the symbol of our nation since 1782. When the lakes and rivers in their nesting grounds freeze over, they are forced to find their food in other places. During deer season, bald eagles come down to eat the remains of the deer that the hunters leave behind. But for their number one food source, they're looking in the water.
Bald eagles are fishermen. They are opportunists. They'll take a dead carcass or something by the side of the road, but most of the time they're trying to fish for their meals.
Oh, there he is. Beautiful. Okay, it's all set.
The
Starved Rock Lock and Dam in Utica, Illinois is one place these bald eagles feed and nest nearby. 25 years ago, it would be very rare to even see a bald eagle in this area. Hundreds of people head to Starved Rock every weekend during January, February, and March to eagle watch.
The tail race of the dam, the backside, there's always open water because we're releasing water from the dam, and that's why they congregate here is to fish. So, and we have seen the numbers go up. We counted a high of about 75 one day.
People of a younger generation might think seeing a bald eagle is common, but for those of an older generation, they aren't used to seeing so many of them. Fox Valley Older Adult Services from Sandwich, Illinois, takes full advantage of this opportunity that they didn't have years ago by going to see the eagles at Starved Rock. These cold temperatures aren't stopping them from hopping on the trolley and going to the lock and dam to watch the eagles. So next time, instead of complaining about the cold weather, call up Grandma, grab your binoculars, and take advantage of the day by seeing these bald eagles while they're still around. In Utica, Erica Burgess, NTC News.
It's hard to believe those eagles can stand this weather.
Kevin Hollon is with us. Kevin, the Eagles seem to manage, but I can't. Tell me, is there some warmth at the end of the tunnel?
Well, I can certainly tell you there's some light at the end of the tunnel, but as we grow deeper into this winter season, it's gonna feel really bad as we go into next week. And let's take a look at the temperatures from around the northern Illinois area. As you can see, for tomorrow, Rockford, DeKalb, and Peoria are gonna hang around the upper 20s, and then Chicago, Kankakee, and Moline are gonna be flirting with the freezing line. But there's going to be an abundant amount of sunshine, and stick with us. I'll have more details on the weather. You're watching NTC News Tonight.
2 outs with a runner on first base. Now the big guy comes up to bat, hitting .342 with 92 RBIs and 36 homers.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to NTC News Tonight. I'm Kevin Hollon here with your weather today, and let's start off by taking a look at today's temperatures here in DeKalb as we reach 25 degrees. The normal for this time of year is 40 degrees, but it's much of the same stuff, different day for this winter. But we'll see the sunrise at 6:08 a.m. The sunset will be at 6:14 p.m. So this is tonight's surface map for what's going around the U.S. As you see, this high pressure is starting to exit our area, thankfully. That's what was funneling in all that cold air for the past 24 hours to 48 hours. And then into tomorrow, I'd like to shift your focus out to the northwest where you'll see a low pressure system forming. We'll continue to monitor that over the coming days as it has the potential to affect us here in DeKalb Friday night into Saturday. So then into tomorrow night, you'll see it's wreaking havoc throughout the northwest there. And then this little low pressure system right here, it's being induced from that. So we'll see that one's a little weaker than the one up northwest. It could bother us a little bit, but nothing too much until Friday night into Saturday morning, like I said. Okay, so here we go. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies with a low around 8 degrees. The winds will be out of the east at 5 to 10 miles per hour with gusts up to possibly 15 miles per hour, which could knock those wind chill values to sub-zero. For tomorrow, mostly sunny skies giving way to cloudy skies with a high around 28. Winds will be light and variable. There's nothing to be too concerned about. And into tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies with a low of 17 degrees, and the winds will be out of the southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So that's going to circulate some of that warm air that's going to see temperature rise towards Friday, and we'll be hovering around that average line for a break finally. And then we'll get knocked back down Saturday through Monday to around the freezing line, but it's not going to be as cold as we've been experiencing this past winter. And don't forget, on Saturday night, before you go to bed, set those clocks forward an hour as we spring forward for daylight savings. We lose an hour of sleep, but we also gain some daylight, so it's a give and take, a trade I'm willing to make. But hopefully we'll see a warming trend continue into our spring break. So that's it for the weather. Let's swing it back to the desk.
Working out is being lifted off the mat and into the air. It's a new big thing called aerial fitness.
Sabrina Bennett has more from our city inside the 815.
Stretching, bending, and even flipping are all part of the latest craze that is changing the way people view traditional exercise. Sycamore Performing Arts is where this intermediate level dance group started practicing with silks back in September, and they're already giving productions like Cirque du Soleil a run for their money. Meet aerial fitness instructor Jody Riley, who discovered aerial silks more than a year ago and hasn't looked back since.
I wanted something different for myself because I'm teaching a lot, and I sometimes forget why I'm doing it, and I thought this would be a fun way to get inspired again.
Other adults have found inspiration from this alternative way to exercise that challenges the body in new ways, increasing balance, strength, and flexibility.
Good. Very pretty.
Silks, hammocks, and lyra hoops are just some of the equipment used in aerial fitness. This is a silk hammock for beginners like me. It may look like an upper body workout, but it's actually a full body workout. This is a workout that Jill Haka was optimistic about even as a beginner.
I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, but then I didn't care because I'm not some skinny mini up there by any means.
Is that better?
Dangling from what looks like a thread might look dangerous, but each aerial silk is suspended from the ceiling through a rigging which can hold up to 2,000 pounds. Aerial silks are also considered an art form through style, poses, and graceful movements, or as Jody would say,
very pretty.
For Inside the 815, I'm Sabrina Bennett, NTC News.
Thanks, Sabrina. Wow, that sure is a workout for my eyes alone.
So it looks like fitness is now going to the air. Maybe next it will be underground.
County clerks can now issue marriage license to gay couples.
And smoking with children in your car could be soon illegal. These are today's state lines.
In Illinois County, clerks can now issue marriage license to gay couples. Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman determines the Illinois original ban on gay marriage was unconstitutional. A state law legalizing the same-sex marriage takes effect June 1st.
A proposal would make it illegal for motorists to smoke in cars with children is advancing in the Illinois legislature. The measure has been approved by a Senate panel on Tuesday. Senator Ira Silverstein, who drafted the legislation, says secondhand smoke in confined areas is dangerous for children.
The Illinois Senate has advanced legislation that would make it a crime for 911 dispatchers to tip off criminals when law enforcement is nearby. Legislation is necessary because in 2010, the state Supreme Court ruled that there was nothing Illinois law can do for a dispatcher to alert a drug dealer that police were in the area.
The Illinois Department of Natural Resources says 4 Northern Illinois businesses have been cited for violating state law by selling products containing shark fins. The companies received a total of 20 citations Friday. In 2012, Illinois became the first non-Pacific state to enact a shark fin ban, and that's been today's state lines.
The crisis in Ukraine continues.
And Americans are overdoing their drugs. Here's what's happening in today's World Watch.
Hundreds of people were out in the street in eastern Ukraine protesting against Russian intervention in Crimea region. The demolition follows days of pro-Russian protests in Ukraine's south, where many residents are Russian speakers. Adding to the tensions are confrontations like this one between Ukrainians and armed Russian soldiers.
Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel says the U.S. plans to expand military cooperation with Poland and Baltic states during the crisis in Ukraine. That includes boosting participation in NATO air policing missions. The administration has already announced a $1 billion economic aid package to Ukraine's government.
Israel's military said it has intercepted a ship bound for Gaza carrying Iranian advanced weaponry. It says the boarding took place in the Red Sea. The weapons found were identified as Syrian-made surface-to-surface rockets. Iran offered no immediate comment on the incident.
The Centers for Disease Control says many hospitals are overprescribing antibiotics. The CDC studied hundreds of hospitals and found some prescribed antibiotics at 3 times the rate of others. That's rendering many of the drugs less effective and making patients more vulnerable to other types of infections. And that's today's World Watch.
Corey Crawford and the Blackhawks haven't had much success indoors coming out of the Olympic break. Hi everyone, I'm Brett Tudela for NTC Sports. The Blackhawks welcomed the Colorado Avalanche to the Madhouse on Madison last night. After a scoreless first period, early second, Avs defenseman Eric Johnson takes his wrist shot from the point and Maxime Talbot tips it past Corey Crawford for the goal. Later in the period, as they celebrate there, Brandon Bullock pulls the puck off the boards, gives it over to Ben Smith, who makes a grown man move into the middle, shoots it past Simeon Varlamov for the goal. After a Ryan O'Reilly goal in the third, Blackhawks on the power play here, nice passing, Taves to Keith, down to Sharp here, across the goal to Taves, who puts it in for the goal. Colorado is on the power play now. They swing it around the outside, over to Tyson Berry for the one-timer, top shelf past Corey Crawford. Paul Stastny gets the empty netter, and Colorado gets the win 4-2. The Blackhawks fall to 1-2 after the Olympics, with their only win coming outdoors at Soldier Field against Pittsburgh on Saturday. After their huge win Sunday against the Knicks, the Bulls headed over to Brooklyn to face the Nets. Not much went right for the Bulls. In third quarter, Kirk Heinrich turns the ball over. Paul Pierce pushes the ball up on the break and lobs it up to Mason Plumlee for the alley-oop jam. Nice little play there from the Nets. Later in the quarter, Andre Bloch gets the ball from Williams, kicks it out to Joe Johnson in the corner for the three. He knocks it down. The Nets go up 14 at the time. Late fourth now, Darren Williams drives the ball to the hoop, loses the ball on the foul, gets it back, scoops it up for the bucket, and one. You know it isn't your night when your opponent hits a shot like that. The Bulls would fall to the Nets 96-80. More news and notes from the world of basketball. The NIU men lost to Western Michigan 61-56 last night, and the women are at Ball State tonight. Both teams have their senior day on Saturday as they host back-to-back games, first with the women hosting Western Michigan at 1, and then the men hosting Ball State right after that at 3:30. Our play of the day comes from the Pacers and Warriors game from last night. Third quarter guard George Hill drives past Stephen Curry right now, pumps, gets Curry up in the air, gets a foul, shoots it over his head, gets the bucket to fall. The shot would be a great shot to make in a game of horse. That's it for us here at Sports. We'll be back after this break.
Maybe he's really focused.
Hey, Michael. Maybe he likes spinning the wheels.
Maybe he just loves trucks.
Maybe he's just being a boy.
Preoccupation with objects is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
Today is the first day of Lent for Christians, Ash Wednesday. But many NIU students can't make time during the day during this busy midterm week.
Keisha Howarth explains the campus ministry has ashes to go.
This Wednesday marks the beginning of Lent in the Christian calendar, but for many people, it's tough to find time to go to church in the middle of the week. NIU's Grace Place will be offering Ashes to Go for anyone who is unable to attend Ash Wednesday services.
We want to make it easy for people to experience Ash Wednesday. So instead of asking people to come in to us, we go out to them.
Since its launch in 2010, more people have responded favorably to Ashes to Go.
Last year, a student came running across the street. She was over by Campus Life, came running across the street to me and said, "I'm so happy that you're here. I want to get Ashes and I don't have any time at all to go to any service. But if you're here, I can do it here."
St. Paul's Episcopal Church will also be offering Ashes to Go with Grace Place at the corner of Normal Road and Lucinda Avenue.
I think it's a good way for people to kind of connect to religion outside of, going to a church.
If Ashes are part of your religious background, try it in a different way. If receiving Ashes on Ash Wednesday is not part of your background, still come and try it.
Ash Wednesday services will be held at St. Paul's at 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., and Grace Place will be holding a service at 9 p.m.
Grace Place will be open until 10 p.m. tonight. As most of you know, spring break is right around the corner. Have a great time. If you're sticking around, be safe. And if you are traveling, hopefully you will be enjoying some warmer weather.
Yes, and with all this snow and cold, hopefully by the time it's over, March will come out like a lamb.
You're telling me. I'm ready for baseball.
For NTC News Tonight, we want to thank you for being with us tonight.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll be back after spring break. Thanks for watching.
Goodbye, everyone.